And good morning or good evening, however you prefer, to the SSL. This is Minor League D2, Match Day 3. We have Montreal United against Cairo City, Inter London against Atanai, Seoul MFC versus CS Rova Umpanjaka. So, should be a good day, should be a good game. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a pretty kind of interesting lineup here. Obviously, we have some people gunning for some promotions here over the course of this season, and we have some people hoping to kind of stay in the top spot. Um, Looks like Inter London and Cairo City are hoping to be able to stay in the lead so far this season, and we're going to get to see a bit of that. Starting out, we have Montreal United versus Cairo City. Paying a visit to Cairo, looks like Montreal is trying to find that here. Montreal is the bottom of the D2 standings with 0 points and 2 losses. Hopefully, this lets them move up. I feel like this is a bit of a beast to face against Cairo City. We'll see how this works out. Bit of a short start there. Looks like that's going to be a throw in from Morley into Jones and a full cross immediately and headed out by AO. Another attempt and Suksuki gets back in control of it. Jones to Andrews Jr. He kicks it real hard. Real tight turn there. Not exactly what you need to get into the goal. Kronkaski with a corner kick. And already we can see not going to be necessarily so clear cut as the standings would dictate here. Seems like Montreal has already had a pretty solid drive to start off the game here. Cairo with an attempt to respond of their own. Gren with a corner kick. And Hernandez gets ahead of it. Pretty even split so far. Cairo definitely seemed to be a threat here for Montreal, but they are not giving them any headway here, trying to keep things as even as possible. Getting in front of it, Yuri. Zarek King to Buccaneer. Buccaneer to Morley. Yujang and Adamu working it back and forth. Yuri down the left side of the field. Holding it as best he can. Takes a couple of quick turns. Still progressing. And that's a shot on goal. Far too high for Nefertari there, it looks like. But, like I said, still a very solid drive and a very solid start for Montreal. It seems like they want it here. They want to get that win on the board. They want to make some sort of showing here for the season, and I think that that this might be the time to do that. Bunch of stuff going on in the background here of our game. Not seeing too many highlights as we push closer to the half. 45, and that's halftime immediately. Econ AO, Bodie Grizz showing decent ratings here. Johnny Jones looking to put his own on the board as well. Yeah, and that average position heat map just shows how much of this game has been a back and forth exchange. It has been a very deep scrap for uh, either side at this point. So I think this second half is really going to decide it. Um, Given Cairo's position in the standings so far, I think Montreal would be relatively happy with a draw. But I also think there's that potential there to have the upset and to take the win out of this, put them on the board. Yes, this morning is a bad morning for congestion, but it's a good morning for some SSL. So we truck on. Cairo are going to start out with the ball. Kronk gets ahead of it for AO. Passes it to Andrews. And still, again, the vast majority of all of this has been played in the center of the field. Very few clear opportunities for goals here. Corner kick from Kronkowski. And it's headed away. Kronkowski gets it back under control. And that looks to be a flag for Shepard Valkarian. Or Vakarian. Just about the exact same average rating across the entirety of this game. It's pretty even Stevens here, and we get close to the very end of this game, and one goal could completely decide it here. All it takes is one. Morley is trying to be that one and take the cross, and it's headed out. Smith with a lot of space, but Jones gets ahead of it as well. It's in. Stan Smith with a beautiful assist from Econ Ayo with the cross. Right into open space directly for Smith. Beautiful clean shot on goal. Hernandez was looking in different directions. Didn't have time to make the block. And this is now Montreal's opportunity to tie it up here. And they need to do that soon. 78 minutes on the clock. Gronkowski gets ahead of it. Nice header block pass from Andrews. Adamu pushing it up the left side. Cairo in that threat position yet again. And Wang Zhizhao with a completely open field in front of him. Crosses over. Hay gets it to Kronkowski. And across. And it's headed out by Adamu. This has got to be a pretty solid defensive game from Adamu. And I bet you could see that in the stat sheet here at the end of the game. Just how dominant he has been to control this field and keep it out of Montreal's reach. They just need one goal in. Whether or not they're going to get that seems less and less likely as time wears on. 84 minutes with a corner kick from Andrews Jr. And Adamu with another header pass away. Time is wearing thin. Buccaneer with one last attempt for a drive. Andrews Jr. Gibraltar. Zarek King. And that's game. And just about proving here with this game why Cairo maintains their spot at the top of Division 2 in the minor league. Econ AO with an 8.2 rating. 3 assists for Vincent Hay. Or attempts on shooting, I'm sorry. I gotta read better. Yes, 1 assist for Econ AO. And that's all they needed, 8.2 rating. Clearly shows why he is the player of the match for that setup. And that's gonna be that game. Looking into the other side of things, we have Inter London also maintaining their top spot at the top of Division 2 here. Looking to face down Atenai, who are 1-0-1 as the season progresses. Definitely in a little bit of a better spot than Montreal, but in just about the same kind of threat range as our previous game. Can be a good one. It's an opportunity for me to take a poll for those in the league who are watching this and listening in on the commentary. When you eat Oreos, do you lick the cream off of the Oreo first, or do you eat it completely by itself? That is the question. Gonna get into the match here shortly. Got And again, Inter London with 6 points against Atenai with their 3. This could be a good spot for Atenai to be in to win this game. But it all comes down to the play. Inter London starting out with the ball first, I believe. No. No, this is Atenai. McSurry with a corner. And that attempt. Mendez to Hutchinson. Francis to Lizard. Pushing it towards the goal, trying to make a killer ball attack here. Blabe back to DeMarco. Managing to keep control of this, and it's tipped by Kabiri. Kabiri showing why they pay him the big bucks. Definitely a pretty dominant player for Atenai. Pretty solid as goalkeepers go. And especially with the position that Atenai is in, you really want somebody who can control and shut down that ball as it gets to our final point here. And trying to do everything they can, but just not able to get control of that ball well enough to be able to push it forward as O'Neal takes it back out. DeMarco to Babe. O'Neal to Lizard. Shot on goal, and Kabiri blocks it again. Comes the corner from O'Neal. And another beautiful shot on goal, and another beautiful pass for Kabiri. Inter London are doing their best to work it up the field here. Staple and Weaver being good defenders here as things go. Lizard to Kane, O'Neal, shot on goal. Kabiri with another block. DeMarco with control of the ball yet again. Weaver and Staple working to put that pressure on him even still. Shot on goal for Lizard, and it is wide. With a cross, and Athena showing some life here as we get a massive goal kick from Kakao. Weaver taking it back in to threat range. DeMarco gets ahead of it to Mendez. DeMarco to Hutchinson, Francis, Lizard. Exchanging passes all over the field. Staple gets ahead of it and scoops it well over. Or a goal kick. And that's the half. Yet another game where the first half is just about moot and not much going on here. Angry Lizard with a 7.1 rating. You can see on that shot map that we've got a few decent attempts so far, but again, nothing to put away a goal to make the rest of this match interesting. It's after the half. One side of this is hoping to put something on the board here as Munoz gives it to Zola. Francis with a kick. Francis to McZearl. Just tipped over by Kabiri. Kane to O'Neal. And that's an Atenai free kick. O'Neal is caught offside. And off of that post, straight out to the Atenai defenders. Kabir with a rocket over the halfway point. Blabe getting in control of the ball, looking to put it into threat range again, and it's over again. And it's over again, tipped. attempts on goal, but again, nothing to close this at 64 minutes. Gray gets ahead of it. Plenty of attempts as McSearle goes for his probably 10th corner kick of the game. And is headed out. Kane to Hutchinson to DeMarco. McSearle. A solid stop by Kabiri there. And it's out. "16 shots for Inter London to Atenai's just 3. Only difference being that none of those 16 went in. And that's it. Arthur Kane. Beautiful assist by Babe. Glow going so far in, the entirety of the first half, as well as most of this half, but just enough for Kane to get it past Kabiri. Looks like he almost had that one too. Eight shots on target. It's just up to a game of probability and chance that at some point one of those 18 shots is going to go in and find its mark. Blabe to Hutchinson. Back to Blabe to DeMarco. McSearle. Mendez to Kane, and another beautiful attempt, but that is going to be over for a goal kick. And we've got a sub due to injury. Zay Bailey. Center midfielder for Atenai. Not a great start to the rest of this game. Looks like the super sub is going to be the sub in. That's it. Game over. Atenai gets their super sub right at the very end of the match, and I'm not sure how much that mattered, but at the end of the day, Atenai didn't have enough to put it together against Inter London. Inter London with just one goal for the game. They're happy with the win, but also maybe not so pleased at how close it might have been at any time. Good showing from Kabiri. Great showing from Kabiri. Solid blocks. Solid game for him. As that will put Inter London still at the very top of the leaderboard, neck and neck with Cairo City, both of them at 3 wins over the season. And finally, we have Seoul MFC at CS Rova Mpanjaka. And this is one of those kind of games where CS Rova has something to prove. They are 1-0-1 for the season. They want to maintain their slot in the running, and they want to keep up with the top dogs of Inter London and Cairo City. So they're hoping to take it to the 0-0-2 Seoul MFC to make that 0-0-3. And on the other side as well, Seoul have something to prove in their own right, looking to put that first win on the board. Trying to see how this works out. Immediately starting out, Swarte to Turk. Turk back to Fern. And Salaka gets ahead of it. Just absolutely driving it down the field. Imad with a corner kick. Headers all over the field. Defensive and offensive plays there. Turk back to Swarte, into Rocket. Shevchenko and Hungmin hoping to keep up with Rocket, but, I mean, he's a Rocket. How are you supposed to keep up? JK with a shot on goal. Twinkle Toes gets a hold of the ball. Back and forth. Simmons. Hugh throws in. Back to Fern. Urenia to Swarte. Looks like the fanboy with a very solid shot on goal. Hugh Jr. with a cross corner kick. Kalinins shoots it over the defenders, but manages to miss the goal. And very slow exchanges so far. It looks like, if I had to take a guess here, it looks like CS Rova is slightly in the lead in terms of just field presence. Hungmin sends it across and it's out. Sails over the bar again. Twinkle Toes tips that. Q Jr. on the corner. Just continuing to put the pressure on to Seoul here, as Twinkle Toes does go up and get it. "35 minutes into the first half. Not much to speak of. 5 shots for both CS Rova and Seoul MFC here. Q gives it into Turk. Turk to Fern. Back to Q. Up the line to Shermans. Schwarzer to Urania, trying to position it in a way that lets them advance a little bit further down this field. Swarte hands it straight into Doug. Back to Twinkle Toes. Playing some of that game on their own as well, trying to position it so that they can move up the field. Grudnar with a goal. Slips into that pocket. Steals the ball away from Seoul MFC, and just a very clean play here. Q straight to Grudnar. Back to I Love Ziegel to Grudnar, and Twinkle Toes just can't get ahead of that one. And just, again, basic power of probability. The more shots you make, the more likely you are that one of those will be a goal. At some point, CS Robo with an attempt to push this out and give them another chance to make a shot here. Doug doing everything he can to drive this forward into CS Rova territory. Morgenstern to McLeod. McLeod back to Twinkle Toes. Schwarte. Kalinins into Sherman's. Assist by JQ. That's 2 for CS Rova. 2 very quick pulls right before the half. Checking the goal review for that one. And they will give it to him. Let's see the rest of this. Schwarte into Kalinins. Q gives it to Sherman's and just a beautiful pass. And then straight past Twinkle Toes. Showing off that offside. Looks like he's fine. And that's 3. 1 for Auto Rocket. Another assist for JQ. Still not out of the half here. Q with an absolute laser straight to Rocket and directly past Twinkle Toes. Going into the half. 3 really clean goals from CS Rova here. And not too terribly much going on here so far. Walker with an attempt on goal and just barely shy. Emad. And it's in! Morgenstern gets his first goal of the season. Clips just past. Schwarzer didn't even know what hit him. Slovenia manages to head that out. Seoul with points on board, but need to get a lot more traction here. Tipped wide by Schwarzer. Really good attempt there. Emad with another attempt at a corner. Following the same kind of track that they've been running. Hunt takes it. Hungmin running out to grab it himself. Into Emad to Hungmin. Hungmin. Pass into Walker. Gridnar wide open. And that's going to be a free kick. I Love Ziegel is offside. Corner kick by I Love Ziegel. Couple back and forths here. Morgenstern to Emad. And that's it. That's full time. Seoul MFC on the board with 1 goal to CS Rova's 3. And that is going to put CS Rova in a pretty decent position here in the standings, hoping to keep up as best they can with the top dogs of Division 2 for the minors here. Inter London and Cairo City looking desperately for that promotion at the end of this season. Definitely seems like this would be a timing for them to be in a good position to do that. And that'll be match day 3. Thank you guys for playing. Thank you guys for coming. As we can see, yet again, looks like Inter London and Cairo City are tied at 9 points each. Rova Mpanjaka having 6 to Atenai's 3, and Seoul and Montreal both with 0. Thanks for playing. Thanks for coming. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. A great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.